let's get into it. The College Football Playoff Committee has spoken. There are conference championship games remaining, and 12 teams, according to the College Football Playoff Committee, are worthy of playing on for the right to lift the national championship trophy. And no surprise that Oregon is the 1 seed and Penn State is the top non-bye week seed at 5. And they're playing each other in the Big Ten championship game for the right to be, I imagine, the 1 seed. And Oregon potentially swapping spots with Penn State. The 2 seed is Texas, which earned this right after beating Texas A&M. They'll be taking on number 7, Georgia. SMU, which is playing for the right to win the ACC, is the 3 spot. And Boise State, which plays UNLV for the Mountain West Championship on Friday night, is in the 4th spot. As for the rest of the teams, Penn State, as I mentioned, is 5. Notre Dame is 6. Georgia is 7. And The Ohio State University, despite the embarrassing and gutting and absolutely delusion-causing loss for the Buckeye faithful to Michigan at home, according to the College Football Playoff Committee, worthy of a home game in the first round of the playoffs, taking on 9th-ranked Tennessee. Indiana is 10th ranked, going to Georgia. Alabama is in as the 11 seed with 3 losses. Ooh. And it is currently slated to go visit Notre Dame in the first round. And Arizona State, which plays for the Big 12 championship against Iowa State, is in at 12, meaning Miami is currently on the outside looking in. Yeah. So is Iowa State, which is playing Arizona State in the Big 12 championship. They are on the outside looking in. 2 SEC teams, Ole Miss and South Carolina, 13 and 14. And there's Clemson all the way down at 17, but if they beat SMU in the ACC championship game, Clemson is in. The question is, any chance for Miami, which started 9-0, lost 2 of its last 3 in conference, including that one in Syracuse on Saturday? How can that Alabama team that's at 9-0 and has a Heisman Trophy-worthy quarterback in Cam Ward, how are they out and Alabama with 1 more loss in? And the question is, what can happen with these weekend results to get Miami in? And Ward Manuel, the Michigan athletic director, who is running the sitting atop the College Football Playoff Committee and is the spokesperson for it, spoke with Reese Davis last night, and what he said basically is, for any teams that aren't playing this weekend, there's really not much else you can do other than just sit and watch and know that you're already in or out. There's no way to improve or lose your current standing.
Any team that is not playing right now, we don't have a data point to rearrange where we have those teams ranked. And so that is set in terms of how we see them going into the final week of championship week. There's nothing that's going to change, Reese, for us to evaluate them any differently than we have now. Those teams who are not playing cannot be adjusted in terms of where they are compared to other teams that are not playing. But the championship teams, we will evaluate that data point to determine if there needs to be any movement based on how the performance of the game goes.
So, for instance, if Texas beats Georgia, then Alabama's win over Georgia won't become less impressive to the point where Miami could leapfrog Alabama just by sitting at home, and Alabama sitting at home, is basically what I just heard. And no teams sitting at home like Indiana or The Ohio State or Tennessee or Notre Dame or Alabama, name them, that their standings can be harmed to the point where they're out. So they're in. Basically, from what I just heard from Ward Manuel, the field is set with the exception of 3 conference championship games that decide who's going in and who's not. SMU loses to Clemson. Is there a second spot for an ACC team?
Seems unlikely.
Would the loser of Arizona State, Iowa State get in? No. Right? Boise State, UNLV. That's winner goes in, loser goes home, right?
Yep.
Because it would just mean maybe you elevate somebody that's currently in the first round of the playoffs into a bye week spot. Because are you going to put UNLV, one of the top 4 teams, to sit at home? Is that what you're going to do? Are you going to do that with Clemson? You're going to give Clemson a week off to go from what? 17th overall, you get a week off now because you beat SMU? I don't think so. I think the only thing that can change is somebody can get elevated from first-round hosts to bye week, and someone can get knocked out from you're already out, you're still out, or somebody in a bye week spot gets knocked out. Does Georgia get knocked out if they lose to Texas?
If they get blown out, maybe.
So then maybe that's how Miami gets in?
Yeah. That seems maybe.
I'm trying to come up with paths to the basket here for those who are out based on hearing what I just heard.
Yeah, maybe Georgia loses by 3 touchdowns or something. Yeah, they have 3 losses, obviously, and that might put them out.
But that's not enough for them. So Alabama stays, Georgia goes, or Georgia stays, Alabama gets knocked out. But Alabama beat Georgia.
Right.
So I'm trying to see what there for anybody who's looking for a there.
I thought expanding this was going to make it easier. That was always the thought, right? And now I'm so confused right now.
These are the things that also kind of impress upon me. You just hit right on the head, TJ.
Yeah, because I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting here like,
No, because everyone was like, well, you're going to lose the controversy if you make it a 12-team field. Just keep it at 4. If you remember last year, the lawsuits that came out of Florida State being left out, the hard feelings, the recriminations, the arguments. Wow, you're going to lose all that when you have 12 teams. Oh, really? And especially on that, did you see the Twitter food fight between 2 athletic directors?
Oh, no.
Well, listen, Iowa State's athletic director, Jamie Pollard, he's pounding the table to say, so we are going to, if we lose the bowl game, essentially is what I'm assuming here, that Iowa State deserves to have a seat at the table here, even if they lose to Arizona State? Because he's saying he's disappointed that strength of schedule clearly does not matter for SMU, Indiana, and Boise State, 3 teams that are in position right now.
He's got a point.
Saying that message is clear, win as many games as possible regardless of who you play. Time to rethink non-conference scheduling, very different standards than the basketball committee. And I guess either the Indiana or Boise State athletic directors either don't have social media or didn't care to respond. SMU's clapped back. Rick Hart talked about respect you, but bad take, and then put a whole bunch of stats up there to back up SMU's case. He said, I could go on. Stay off my lawn.
Oh, he added a zinger at the end.
Yeah, with a crying, laughing emoji.
Oh, nice.
Well, Jamie Pollard wasn't laughing. He's like, Rick beat Clemson Saturday. I'll respect your thinking. Until then, you didn't play Clemson, Miami, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, and lost to BYU at home. Looks like your lawn may be artificial.
Wow. Don't break up the fight.
Wait, hold on a minute.
Amazing. There's more?
That's a silly face emoji. And Rick Hart, I guess this Hart went top rope, right? We will continue to control what we control. Pony up.
Pony up.
So this is happening.
I love it.
I like it.
Twitter's back.
So maybe, listen, maybe the seedings can change, the matchups can change. Personally, I'd love to see Indiana at Notre Dame. That would be insane to see the Hoosiers in the home of the Fighting Irish for an Indiana battle, right? Could you imagine Indiana makes the first 12-team playoff field and they have to play their first game in Notre Dame? I'm sure Notre Dame would be like, keep the Hoosiers out. They'd rather have maybe Alabama fans trying to hop a flight as opposed to just drive to South Bend. I understand that. Ohio State gets a home game. Okay. Hey, listen, they had a close loss to Oregon, and then easily the most embarrassing loss Ohio State has suffered to Michigan in quite some time. The recriminations are still all over the place for Ohio State fans right now towards their coach. I mean, there's like 10 steps of grief, but half the steps are anger and the other half are delusion right now for Ohio State fans. And it's so great. Really, those tears just fill up my cup. So to Tennessee, my message to you, if you are so chosen to be the road team in Ohio State, just pack your cold weather gear and your gas masks in case you win. And in case Ohio State fans think that I'm not being respectful, I'll just say this to you. My scouting report to you is Tennessee has a quarterback on scholarship and a passing game. You might want to, understand that, what's the word for it? They have it. Because the last team you had in there didn't have either. Still won. And you're welcome, TJ. Penn State is in the position, could wind up the 1 seed.
How about that?
Right? If they beat Oregon.
And Georgia beats Texas, who's the 1 seed?
Okay, that's a conversation.
Either way, I win. Really? You said Texas, right? So they could be number 1?
Texas could be number 1, man.
If Penn State beats Oregon, Texas will be number 1 if they beat Georgia.
They deserve it. Yeah. They deserve it, man.
Arch. Look. I know they say money can't buy happiness, but this Arch card could buy me a boat.
This guy
you know
keeps
what
thinking,
I'm saying?
Guy wants a boat.
When you lose, I win.
Come on.
I think if you want a boat ride, you'll get one much sooner by just asking Del Tufo for one.
Not that easy.
Is that right?
No, he's never invited us.
He's never invited us.
I've been a few times, but
Brockman, but this right here, you're welcome to come on the USS Arch when it happens. Okay.
So the question about would there be less controversy, less conversation? I mean, Miami right now is pissed off right now.
Well,
they started 9-0. They lost 2 games,
and a lot of those games they had some come from behind wins. They should have got a few times.
But whatever. They started 9-0. They lost 2 of their last 3, and an Alabama team that's lost more than them is being told, "You're in."
Well, as Ward Manuel pointed out, their record against the top 25 is much better than Miami's.
And Clemson could get in after all. After all of this,
Wild.
Clemson wins the ACC championship game. Clemson is in. But you can't give a team that's currently as far down as anybody outside of UNLV to be playing in these conference championship games a bye week. You can't do that, right? You can't.
No, I don't like that.
You have to, don't you? Don't you have to? That's why Notre Dame doesn't get a bye because they're not affiliated with any conference.
Right.
So the highest Notre Dame can ever be in this scenario is a 5 seed. They'll never have a week off. It's their way of saying, pick a side, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Pick a side. And they're on the side of, we're Notre Dame. To heck with you. I didn't go the other way. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.